Bullies beat up new black girl in the hallway. Not knowing she's a state karate champion. Every school has its stories, whispers that drift through lunch tables, rumors that circle classrooms, legends carried down year after year. But some stories begin quietly, unnoticed at first, with a single new face stepping into a hallway full of strangers. And sometimes that new face belongs to someone far stronger, far more extraordinary, than anyone could ever guess. This tale begins inside the buzzing halls of Bradley Ridge High, a place where cliques ruled, bullies strutted like they owned the oxygen, and the timid kept their heads down. Students who didn't fit into the norm, the wealthy, the popular, or the loud, often found themselves targeted by those who mistook cruelty for power. Today's story revolves around one such target, or at least that's what everyone thought she was. Her name was Zara Morgan, a quiet black girl who transferred in the middle of the semester, a time when social circles were already hardened and hostility toward outsiders was practically tradition. No one knew where she came from. No one knew what she could do. And certainly, no one knew she was a state-level karate champion with more discipline, control, and inner strength than the entire student body combined. They only saw a quiet girl with a backpack too big for her frame, eyes too calm for high school chaos, and a silence that made the insecure feel threatened. This is the story of the day the bullies picked the wrong girl. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story will be the one you don't want to miss. Zara Morgan had barely stepped into the hallway when the noise swallowed her whole. Lockers slammed, laughter erupted from clusters of friends, and sneaker soles squeaked against polished linoleum. She moved slowly, observing everything the way someone trained in discipline usually did, eyes calm, shoulders relaxed, breath steady. But to the predators of the school, her silence looked like fear. The worst of those predators were three students everyone knew. Brittany Hale, queen of cruelty, daughter of a wealthy local businessman. Troy Benson, a football linebacker who used his size like a threat. Lacey Quinn, the shadow who laughed at everything the others did, never thinking for herself. They spotted Zara within minutes. New girl alert, Brittany smirked, flipping her blonde ponytail as she leaned against her locker. And she didn't even dress cute. Ugh, tragic. Troy grunted. Looks like she walked out of a library. Lacey giggled. Or a charity store. Zara heard them, of course she did, but she kept walking. Sensei Ito had taught her long ago. The first victory is the one you win over your own reaction. So she didn't give them one. The bullies hated that. As Zara slipped into her first class, all eyes shifted to her. The teacher gave a polite smile. Everyone, this is Zara Morgan. Please make her feel welcome. The room did the exact opposite. Whispers. Stares. The occasional snicker. Zara sat straight, unfazed, and quietly unpacked her notebook. It wasn't the worst environment she'd ever seen. But it wasn't good either. During break, she found a quiet corner by the library to eat a granola bar. She had barely taken a bite when a shadow fell over her. Then another. Then a third. Brittany, Troy, and Lacey. Hey, new girl, Brittany said, arms folded. We noticed you skipped the cafeteria. That's kinda rude. People usually sit where we sit. Zara blinked. I didn't realize there were assigned seats. Oh, they're not assigned, Brittany replied brightly. They're just, understood. Zara didn't move. I prefer quiet. Troy scoffed. What, you too good for everyone? No, Zara said calmly. I just like peace. Peace. The bullies looked at each other and smirked. They lived on chaos. Well, Brittany said sweetly, if you want to fit in, you'll have to learn some things around here. Zara met her eyes, steady, unshaken. I didn't come here to fit in. Wrong answer. Brittany's smile vanished. Let's go, she snapped, and the three walked off, plodding silently. Zara exhaled slowly. She knew trouble was coming. She had felt it in the stares, the energy, the forced laughter. But she also knew that she'd give them exactly one chance to walk away from a fight they could never win. Unfortunately, they wouldn't. It happened right after lunch, when the halls were nearly empty, supervisors distracted, and cameras conveniently facing the wrong direction. Zara was heading toward her locker when she heard fast footsteps behind her. Then, wham! Someone shoved her from behind. Hard. Her books crashed to the ground, sliding across the floor. Zara staggered but regained her balance instantly. She didn't need to turn around. She already knew who it was. Brittany stepped forward, arms crossed. "Oops," she said innocently. "Hallway's slippery." Lacey snickered behind her. Troy blocked the opposite end of the hallway, preventing escape. Zara looked down at her scattered books, then up at her three tormentors. "Pick them up," Brittany demanded. Zara tilted her head. "Why?" "Because I said so." Brittany stepped closer. "Unless you want more than a shove." A crowd started forming at the far end of the hallway. Students whispered, eager for drama. A few took out their phones. None stepped in to help. Zara's voice stayed soft. "You don't want to do this." "Oh, look at that," Lacey mocked. "She thinks she's tough." Troy cracked his knuckles. "Let's teach her how things work around here." Brittany grabbed Zara's shoulder. Instantly, Zara's hand moved. Not violently. Not aggressively. Just, precisely. She shifted her body, rotated her wrist, and Brittany's hand slipped off as if contact with Zara had never existed. "What the?" Brittany snapped. "Grab her." Troy charged. A linebacker. 250 pounds. Used to flattening people on the field. But to Zara, he moved in slow motion. As Troy swung his arm forward, Zara stepped aside with a swift sidestep, pivoted her foot, and used his momentum to guide him straight into a row of lockers. Bang! The impact echoed like thunder. Gasps filled the hallway. Troy collapsed to his knees, dazed. Zara hadn't even touched him. "Are you crazy?" Brittany shrieked. "Lacey, get her." Lacey rushed forward with arms windmilling wildly. Zara simply lowered her stance, centered her gravity, and tapped Lacey's wrist. A soft, controlled motion. Lacey yelped and stumbled backward, clutching her forearm. "Ow! She did something to me." Zara hadn't. Lacey's own panic did the rest. Now the hallway was dead silent. But Brittany wasn't done. Red with frustration, she grabbed Zara's hair. Only for Zara to catch her wrist midair. Not squeezing. Not twisting. Just holding. Brittany froze. Her eyes widened as she felt her own arm locked effortlessly in a position she couldn't fight. "Let go of me." Brittany sputtered. Zara's voice was barely a whisper. "I warned you." She released the bully's wrist, letting Brittany stumble backward, off balance and humiliated in front of everyone watching. A wave of murmurs rolled through the hallway. "Bro, she didn't even touch them. Did you see Troy fly? Yo, the new girl is different. Is she like, trained or something?" Breathing steady, Zara crouched to gather her books. But Brittany, driven by anger instead of sense, snatched the heaviest textbook off the ground. "You think you're special," she screamed. "Let's see how tough you are after." Before she could finish swinging the book, Zara rose. Her movement was fluid, almost elegant. She stepped forward, raised her arm, and stopped Brittany's swing with a single open palm. The book froze midair. Brittany's mouth fell open as Zara looked her dead in the eyes. "I don't want to hurt you," Zara murmured, "but I won't let you hurt me." The book slipped from Brittany's shaking hands. Troy groaned from the floor. Lacey backed against the lockers, terrified. For the first time in their lives, the bullies felt fear. Not because Zara attacked them, she hadn't. But because she could have, and chose not to. A different kind of strength. A strength they didn't understand. The assistant principal suddenly appeared at the end of the hallway, eyes wide. What's going on here? Students immediately began talking over each other, shouting half-truths and exaggerations. Brittany tried to spin the story. She attacked us. Everyone looked at Zara. Zara simply stood there, calm as ever. The assistant principal stared at her. Is that true? Zara lifted her chin. No, sir. And I have the whole thing recorded, a kid shouted proudly, waving his phone. Brittany's face drained of color. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. And it was only the beginning. The assistant principal, Mr. Rowan, stood frozen for a moment, staring down at Troy sprawled on the ground, Lacey clutching her wrist, and Brittany looking like her entire world had just fallen apart. Meanwhile, Zara stood calm, her books neatly gathered in her arms, her posture straight and composed. What happened here? Mr. Rowan demanded again, but this time his voice had more authority, more suspicion. Everyone started talking at once, a tidal wave of voices crashing through the hallway. She didn't do anything. They were messing with her. Nah bro, she flipped Troy like a pancake. Shut up, she barely touched him, he ran into the locker himself. Brittany started it. Nah, Brittany always starts it. Mr. Rowan raised a hand sharply. Enough. The hallway went silent. He turned to Zara. You. Come with me. He didn't ask the bullies to follow. He didn't demand they come too. Only Zara. Whispers spread instantly. He's taking the new girl. Not the bullies. That's messed up. They're gonna try to blame her. Zara didn't argue. She simply nodded once, calm and respectful, and walked with Mr. Rowan toward the main office. Brittany smirked, relief washing over her face. See, she whispered to Lacey. Everything's back to normal. But Brittany was wrong. Completely wrong. Inside the office, Zara took a seat opposite Mr. Rowan's desk. Zara, he began, accusations like this are serious. 3 students are claiming you attacked them. Zara folded her hands on her lap. I didn't attack anyone. Then how do you explain Troy's injuries? He ran into the locker. Mr. Rowan lifted an eyebrow. On his own. Yes. He sighed. Zara, I hope you understand. A sharp knock interrupted him. The door opened. In walked Mrs. Goodwin, the school principal. Behind her, 2 security officers. Zara didn't shift. Didn't blink. But she felt her breath catch for the first time that day. She had expected bullies. She hadn't expected a full disciplinary ambush. Mrs. Goodwin sat beside Mr. Rowan. Ms. Morgan. We have a serious situation. 3 long-standing students have accused you of violence. Zara looked at her directly. There were witnesses. Students exaggerate, Mrs. Goodwin replied. They enjoy drama. They recorded it, Zara said. Everything went still. Mrs. Goodwin blinked. Recorded? Yes. Mr. Rowan leaned forward. Is this true? Yes. Many of them had their phones out. A silence heavier than the carpet settled over the room. Mrs. Goodwin exhaled slowly. Very well. We'll need that footage. And at that exact moment, as if the universe itself wanted justice, someone knocked loudly on the door. A boy burst inside, breathless. Principal Goodwin. I emailed the video to the school. You need to watch it right now. The new girl didn't do anything. Behind him stood several other students, arms crossed, nodding firmly. Zara wasn't alone anymore. Mrs. Goodwin narrowed her eyes. Mr. Rowan, pull up the email. Seconds later, the video began to play on his computer screen. The entire office watched. Brittany shoving Zara's books. Troy charging like a bull. Zara barely stepping aside. Lacey tripping over her own panic. Brittany swinging the textbook first. Zara stopping every attack without initiating a single strike. The room was silent except for the audio echoing through the speakers. When the footage ended, the truth sat in the room like a spotlight. Mrs. Goodwin cleared her throat. Well, that clarifies things. Mr. Rowan swallowed hard. It certainly does. The two security officers quietly stepped back toward the door, no longer needed. Mrs. Goodwin sighed. Zara, I apologize for any misunderstanding. You may return to class. But Zara didn't move. She stared at Mrs. Goodwin. Not rudely, not angrily, but with the unshakable firmness of someone raised in discipline, not fear. I appreciate the apology, she said softly. But I'd like to know what will happen to the three who attacked me. Mrs. Goodwin stiffened. We will handle it. Zara didn't break eye contact. Fairly. Mrs. Goodwin hesitated. She had never been questioned like this. Certainly not by a freshman, and certainly not by someone who could dismantle her school's social hierarchy with a single recorded video. I promise, she finally said. Zara nodded once. Then I'll return to class. By the time Zara left the office, the entire school already knew the story. Students leaned out of classroom doors just to catch a glimpse of her. There she is. She didn't get suspended. Bro, she's unbreakable. I heard she pressure-pointed Troy across the hallway. Nah, she didn't even touch him. She's like a ninja or something. No, karate. Someone said she's a champion. Zara kept walking, calm as ever. But as she rounded the corner toward her English class, someone stepped into her path. A small girl with round glasses and curly hair, hugging a stack of books to her chest. Her voice was tiny. Hi. I'm Maya. I just wanted to say, thank you. Zara blinked. For what? Maya swallowed. For standing up to them. They've picked on me since last year. I always wished someone would stop them. I guess I just didn't expect it to be someone who'd only been here one day. Zara smiled softly. You don't have to thank me. I just defended myself. Yeah, but you did it, without hurting them. That's different. Zara nodded slowly. Hurting isn't strength. Control is. Maya's eyes widened. You sound like a sensei. Zara laughed. I've heard that before. The bell rang. Maya shuffled her books nervously. Do you want to sit with me at lunch tomorrow? You know, if you want. Zara thought about the cold silence of eating alone near the library. Then she nodded. Yes. I'd like that. Maya beamed. For the first time since transferring, Zara felt a moment of warmth. But the day wasn't over. Not even close. After school, Brittany, Troy, and Lacey were summoned to the office with their parents. The yelling could be heard from the hallway. What do you mean she didn't attack them? My son has a bruise. My daughter is traumatized. That new girl is dangerous. Mrs. Goodwin kept replaying the video. Over. And over. And over. Each time, the parents' voices got quieter. By the fourth replay, they couldn't argue anymore. What are you going to do about our children being humiliated? Brittany's father snapped. Mrs. Goodwin answered sharply. Your children humiliated themselves. The punishment was swift. 2-week suspension for all three. Mandatory behavioral counseling. Loss of extracurricular privileges. A storm of outraged parents followed, but the rules were the rules. For the first time in their lives, Brittany, Troy, and Lacey suffered consequences. Real ones. And they didn't take it well. The next morning, Zara walked into school feeling more relaxed. Maybe things would settle now. Maybe she could finally just be a student. But peace rarely lasts long. Because as she approached her locker, a tall senior with a Letterman jacket stepped forward, blocking her path. He looked nothing like Troy. This guy was older. Bigger. Sharper. And the crowd's reaction told her everything. Oh. That's Connor Hale. Brittany's older brother. He's not gonna let what happened slide. He's captain of the wrestling team. And state level too. This is bad. Connor glared down at her like she was an opponent he had already decided to take down. You embarrassed my sister, he said bluntly. Zara calmly met his stare. Your sister embarrassed herself. Whispers exploded around them. Connor stepped closer. Think you're tough? Zara didn't respond. Connor smirked. I heard you do karate. No reaction. I also heard you're a state champion. Still nothing. But here's the thing, he said, leaning down, voice dangerously low. In this school, titles don't matter. Size does. Zara exhaled slowly. I don't want to fight you. Connor cracked his knuckles. I didn't ask what you wanted. The hallway tensed. Students held their breath. This wasn't Troy. This wasn't Brittany. This wasn't another immature bully with zero discipline. Connor Hale was a trained fighter. And he wanted a fight. Zara shifted her weight subtly, grounding her stance, not preparing to attack, but preparing to avoid. Then Connor reached out. A hand moving fast. A grip trained in grappling. A technique meant to grab, lift, and slam. Except he didn't touch her. Because at the very last second, Mr. Hale. Principal Goodwin's voice exploded through the hallway. Connor froze. The crowd scattered in seconds. Mrs. Goodwin marched straight toward them, eyes blazing. My office. Right now. Connor opened his mouth to argue. Now. Zara stepped back, silent but composed. Connor shot her one last look. Not anger this time. Recognition. He had seen her stance. Seen her balance. Seen the calm of someone trained not just in moves, but in mastery. He wasn't facing a random girl. He was facing a warrior. And he knew it. By lunchtime, the entire school had shifted. People moved out of Zara's way, not out of fear, but respect. Some nodded at her. Some smiled. Some whispered admiration. And many, simply stared in awe. Maya waved excitedly from a table in the corner. Zara. Over here. Zara headed over and sat with her for the first time. Maya looked at her with bright, grateful eyes. So. Are you going to stay at Bradley Ridge? Zara thought for a moment. Yesterday, she wasn't sure. Today. I think I am, she said softly. And for the first time since transferring, Zara smiled. Not small. Not cautious. A real one. Because she had come to a new school expecting fear, isolation, and conflict. Instead, she found purpose. She found strength. She found a voice. And maybe even, a friend. But one thing was certain. No one at Bradley Ridge High would ever underestimate the quiet new girl again. Thank you for watching, and remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories.